There's something I need to talk about that's been showing up in my life in a really specific way. And it's about how the quantum mirror actually works. So let me read to you something from chapter 3. You don't get what you want, you get what you are. This is the part most people miss. Not because they're blind, because they've been trained to look in the wrong direction. We're told to chase, to hustle, to visualize harder, to paste affirmations over the cracks in our self worth and call it manifesting. To believe it's possible, even when our body is curled in a silent flinch that says otherwise. But the universe isn't responding to your vision board, it's responding to your vibration. It doesn't tune in to what you say you want, it tunes into what you are. Because the field doesn't speak English, it speaks frequency. And frequency isn't performance, it's coherence. So if you say, I am abundant, but underneath it, your nervous system is in survival mode, running background code that screams, I'm not safe, I'm not worthy, or it's going to be taken away. Guess which signal the field responds to? And I realized that's exactly what's been happening to me on YouTube. Right, a few weeks back, I posted a video, and it started getting traction in real time. Like views started climbing, comments were coming in, 10 times the usual engagement. And the minute I saw it happening, I could feel it in my body. Except it wasn't excitement. It was actually tension in my gut. Panic masquerading as excitement. And then the thoughts arrived, right? What if I'm not the real deal? What if I'm just a phony? Or what if I don't survive the scrutiny? And the minute my frequency shifted into that panic, the views stopped. The comments stopped. The momentum died. And I instantly realized the field was just reflecting back exactly what I was broadcasting. My vibration, not my vision. My intention, my actual signal. And I watched it happen in real time. And I caught it after the moment had already passed. Right? So I didn't judge myself. I didn't spiral into shame. I just went, okay, I see it now. I really didn't expect it, but I'll watch for it going forward. And I built a memory bank. Right? This loop showed up. I wasn't ready for it. And now I have awareness of it. And not in a hypervigilant way. It's not like I'm always on alert. It's just a healthy awareness. Right? The same way you'd have awareness of your outer surroundings. You're not in war mode, but you are paying attention. And I applied that to my inner environment. But here's what I caught that changed everything. Right? Not all loops are old. Some loops are still protecting you for a valid reason. Some fear is warranted. Some caution is wisdom. So when I felt that panic, I asked myself a real question. Is this loop still relevant? Is this pattern still protecting me? Or is it just an echo of something that used to be important? And I sat with that. Right? I just connected into and felt into my heart, and the answer was surprisingly clear. So I'd learned something decades ago from a guy who trained helicopter crews for oil rig rescues. And he had a flight simulator in Halifax Harbor. It would hold about 10 people, and it would randomly just flip upside down into the freezing water. And it's pretty much a life or death scenario. And the one thing he taught, the one thing that saves your life is simple, and it's this. The first thing you do is count to 10. You do nothing else. Just count 1001, 1002, 1003, all the way to 10. And that count, that pause takes you out of fight or flight, out of panic, and into a clarity. Right? Then you can make a decision based on wisdom instead of panic. And that's what you're doing with a quantum mirror. You're counting to 10. You're pausing. You're breathing. Just enough to move from survival into wisdom. And you're not doing it through force. It's through deliberate practice. The very same mechanics that saves your life in a helicopter works in your nervous system in your life. So the next video came out, and I started gaining traction. Except this time, I felt the loop wanting to activate. I felt that tension building in my gut. It was a subtle, faint fear, and instead of following it down the rabbit hole, I just paused. I took a breath, and from that place of calm, not from panic, but from presence, I asked a simple question. Is this still mine? Is this still protecting me? And the answer was no. That old loop, the imposter, the microscope, not surviving scrutiny, that's not keeping me safe anymore. It's just keeping me small. So I didn't fight it. I didn't try to override it or perform over it. I just observed it. And I let it move through without engaging the old nervous system. right? Without engaging my nervous system patterning. And the moment I stopped feeding it energy, it started to diffuse. Once I dropped into my heart space, I could feel it. Yeah, I am safe here. I expected this. I earned this. I own this. And I'm choosing to stand in this light. And here's what happened. The video continued to perform. Views kept climbing, a lot more engagement. But more than that, I was present for it. I could respond to comments with clarity from a place of presence, and it was genuinely exciting. Not panic masquerading as excitement, but real excitement. Because I was standing in the signal. And that video is still gaining traction. Not because I did something different outwardly, because I recognized the loop. And it's that simple, that's it. And as soon as I saw the pattern clearly, without judgment and without shame, right, just acknowledgement. Oh, that's a loop I was running. And the minute that recognition happened, everything started to shift. The field didn't change, I changed. My signal changed, and the field just reflected that back. And this is what the book calls observe without collapse. It's not about fixing or judgment, it's about seeing with presence. Observing your life like a scientist, not a victim. Right? Looking at repeating loops without labeling them as failures. Because witnessing without collapsing into shame is the very first crack in the pattern. It's the first move. But here's the part that I often missed. Observation alone isn't the whole work. Once you see the pattern, you have to hold the new signal. You have to make it a habit. You have to train it like a muscle. Because the old nervous system patterning, it's been running for years, decades, lifetimes. And you're not going to undo that with one moment of clarity. You hold the signal, you keep returning to it again and again. And when fear creeps in, you breathe deeper. When the old pattern knocks, you pause. And instead of answering, you practice the new frequency until it becomes muscle memory. Until standing in the light becomes your natural state instead of something you have to reach for. That's the training. See, that's the work. It's not glamorous and it's not instant, but it's very real. Let me read you the next piece. Not that you never drop it, but that you return to it faster. The field is not testing you. It's tracking you. It's reading the tone of your being, not just in big moments, but in the in-between, in the quiet, in the ordinary, in the space between fear and faith. And when it feels your signal hold, even slightly, it begins to rearrange itself in your favor, not out of reward, but out of resonance. And that's what is happening right now. Every time I feel that odd panic wanting to surface, I catch it. I pause. I choose a signal again. And each time I do, the field notices. Not because it's magical, because it's consistent. The quantum mirror doesn't respond to your one good moment. It responds to your pattern, to what you're broadcasting most of the time. And the moment you commit to holding a new signal, not perfectly, but consistently, the field begins to reorganize around you. So if you're watching this and you're recognizing a loop, a subtle one you didn't even know you were running, don't just see it once. Train it. Hold the new signal. Make it a practice, a ceremony, until it becomes who you are. Not something you're trying to be, because the field is listening, not to your words, to your consistency, to what you're trained to broadcast. And when you change that, everything changes.